It started with illegal towing and assaults, even driving a tow truck without a valid driver's license. That's what I've uncovered in my years investigating David Satterfield. He's faced more than 40 criminal charges since January of 2016 and has been sued by the Attorney General for price gouging. None of it has stopped him. Our new investigation shows that's only emboldened others to follow in his footsteps. I've connected more than a dozen companies and tow truck drivers to Satterfield and his former business partner, Tim Davis. Since this moment captured on Facebook, when the two started dependable automobile recovery and towing service together in 2015, the two have split, and more people who worked with them or for them have branched off again and again. Some of the newest generation aren't just accused of illegally towing cars, but kidnapping, drug trafficking, and assault. And if you get in their way, you are in extreme danger.
Every morning when I wash my face, I have to see that.
Ardell Olive is a truck driver, a husband, a father, a business owner.
I have to see that scar. It's going to be with me the rest of my life.
Olive has called the road his office for more than 20 years and Charlotte his home for 15.
I've been all over the United States and nothing's never happened to me like this.
I drove Olive along the route where court records say he was assaulted, extorted, and held hostage by two men, Rodney Grayson and Robert Frazier, who claimed to work for a tow company.
The marathon is up here on the left.
Olive says he had just picked up a late-night load from the Amazon fulfillment facility on Wilkinson. All he had to do was deliver it to the rail yard 5 miles away.
See that? There's a truck there now, parked. That's basically almost where I was. We're just waiting on confirmation that I was good to go into the rail.
The signs say no truck parking and towing is done by PCR, owned by Tim Davis. But Olive says the store was closed, the lot was empty, and he was only there for about 45 minutes.
I was approached by a gentleman that told me, I put a boot on your truck and trailer unless you give me $5,000 for the truck and $5,000 for the trailer. I'm not going to take the boot off and I'm going to have your vehicle towed. I don't see a tow truck, and I told him, basically, I don't even know who you are, man. I'm not giving you anything. I'm leaving. And he said, no, I'm not going to allow you to leave.
Olive says he was booted with a thin wire while he was in his truck. The man demanding $10,000 was in an unmarked car and had no company logos or ID, all of which are required by North Carolina's towing statutes or Charlotte's towing ordinance.
I proceeded to pull out of the lot here, and he tried to back and block me from pulling out. I looked in my mirror, and I could see him following me. I got on 485 down here and made it all the way to exit 6. About right here is when the other guy started coming towards me, flashing his light.
He's coming towards you?
He's coming toward me.
Down this ramp?
Down this ramp. He's coming towards me in his car. And basically, the guy that was coming down the exit ramp towards me had turned around, got in front of me. Once we got on this bridge here, got around me, he jammed on his brakes right in front of me. The other guy was still behind me. So they basically were trying to sandwich me in. And then he came on the side of me, and then that's when I seen the red beam pointed at me.
So you're driving.
Yeah.
He's pointing what appears to be a gun at you,
Yes.
and it's got a red laser on it.
Yeah. I turned left into the rail yard here. Once we made it to the shed, he jammed on brakes and jumped out the car. He pointed the gun at me. He pulled my door open. He jumped up on the side of my truck. That's when he hit me with the butt of the gun.
Olive says the men left quickly, likely after they saw the cameras. The police were called by Norfolk Southern, and Olive told them his story. The indictments against Grayson and Frazier say they posed as employees of PCR, but don't actually work there. But our investigation reveals that Grayson is named as a PCR employee in multiple lawsuits. PCR owner Tim Davis tells WBTV he doesn't know Grayson, but just 30 minutes after our call with Davis, another towing company called asking about our investigation and said Rodney had called and told them about it.
Almost like the Wild West with these towing companies.
My name is Jessica. We have one of your semi-trucks with a trailer.
Grayson and Frazier aren't the only ones accused of going rogue.
It has a boot on it as of right now.
Jessica Perry was arrested and charged with obtaining property under false pretense after towing a semi-truck. Perry wasn't working for a towing company, but court documents show she dropped the truck off at David Satterfield's lot. Perry and her husband Jack Stouffer have been arrested several times in the past few months and have been charged with kidnapping, trafficking fentanyl, and motor vehicle theft. On February 6, 2023, Willie Miller was arrested and charged with 3 counts of obtaining property under false pretense for illegally taking these 3 U-Hauls. The next day, WBTV captured this secret video of Miller returning the 3 U-Hauls and getting a payday that more than covered his bond. Court records show Miller used to work for Tim Davis at PCR, the same company Grayson and Frazier claimed they worked for. WBTV reached out to all of these tow truck drivers. Grayson and Frazier said they would get back to us, but never did. We haven't heard from the others.
I don't like that it happened to me, but I don't want it to happen to anyone else.
This is just the tip of the iceberg of our investigation. Tomorrow, we're airing 2 more stories showing how a subsidized apartment complex has been targeted by more than 3 separate towing companies for years. We're also revealing just how deep the criminal connections go with some of these towing companies as we link a bank robber to one of Charlotte's biggest towers and $5 million worth of stolen sneakers to another tow company. These are the people and companies that are towing your cars. Watch starting tomorrow morning on WBTV. Reporting in Charlotte, David Hodges, WBTV, on your side. This is not the first time I've been out here investigating towing. In 2022, I also spoke with residents here at Siegel Point Apartments. They called outraged they were being towed by a man named David Satterfield, even after he'd been sued by the North Carolina Attorney General and ordered by a judge to practically stop towing. Satterfield left. 2 more companies have worked this apartment complex since then, and residents like Shaquanta Dixon say somehow it's only gotten worse.
It's sad because a lot of us don't have the money to keep giving to these guys.
Shaquanta Dixon lives at Siegel Point Apartments, part of Enlivian's affordable housing network. She's had 2 different cars towed a total of 4 times in the past 6 months.
Tearing my car up.
3 of those times by a company called Universal Towing, owned by Brian Fox. This is video Dixon took of Universal towing her car right off Siegel Avenue, where there are no signs indicating your vehicle might be towed. Dixon says Universal still has her 2002 BMW because she can't afford to get it back.
I work hard to upkeep it, and it's so much money that I put into it.
In November, a new company started towing from Siegel, Met County Towing and Recovery, owned by Ricky Barrino. In just 2 months, the company reported towing more than 160 times from the parking lot, most of them from Green Trail Lane, where there are no signs indicating parking isn't allowed.
You Barrino? Yep.
In 2022, Barrino was sued by U-Haul and accused of insurance fraud and intentionally crashing into another vehicle. U-Haul's investigation found at the time he worked for a different towing company and that he's filed 13 insurance claims. His criminal history includes reckless driving, reckless endangerment, unsafe driving, and assault.
And this is the person that they claiming to have a contract with. Are you serious? This guy has a horrible background. He has access to my neighborhood, my cars, all of our property, and Siegel Point has to know this.
I tried reaching out to Barrino but haven't gotten a response. I did speak with Brian Fox from Universal Towing. He said the property manager, quote, replaced us. She said something about paying a couple times and we was like, pay? You don't pay to have contracts. I called the apartment manager here at Siegel Point. She said she didn't know anything about asking to be paid for the tows, and then she quickly hung up on me. So what's your message to city council members and the mayor about what they need to do to protect y'all?
They need to stop this. We have literally criminals stealing our cars, and we're paying them to get our cars back. Help us.
Reporting in Charlotte, David Hodges, WBTV, on your side. This Facebook picture, taken in 2017, shows Tim Davis and David Satterfield near the beginning of their business relationship when they started the towing company Darts together. Now I've connected a dozen other tow truck companies and tow truck drivers to these 2 godfathers of Charlotte towing. Some of them are operating at the limits of the law or blatantly disregarding it altogether.
It felt like a gut punch.
Joshua Kim couldn't find his car after returning from Korea. According to this lawsuit he filed, he had an agreement for long-term parking at this hotel for $100 per month. He called CMPD, who told him his vehicle was towed. He tracked it to a towing company called PCR, which was also going by NC Recovery. Is one of the people you spoke to Timothy Davis?
It is. He did seem like he was not interested in having me pick up the vehicle at any price. They had initially told me when I first reached out to them, hey, the towing and the storage fees are $2,550. I called them 2 days later on October the 2nd, hey, to finalize the pickup details.
Now the cost was more than $7,500. Kim says he got no explanation on the charges.
Say, this is illegal what you're doing. You towed the vehicle illegally. I'm going to seek law enforcement involvement. And they said, we don't care what you do.
Our investigation reveals a paper trail showing the people operating these tow companies are frequently accused of breaking the law. PCR owner Tim Davis is currently facing 10 felony charges after CMPD executed a search warrant at his tow yard. Court records show CMPD found 17 firearms, 5 of which were reported stolen. They also found vehicles and trailers reported stolen, including a tractor trailer with $5 million worth of Adidas sneakers. WBTV reached out to Davis about the criminal charges and Kim's car. Regarding the 10 felony charges, Davis said, "I'm not in trouble. I'm not worried about that," and said he was going to donate the shoes to schools. On Kim's car, Davis said, "I have a contract with the hotel, so it was towed. That's not a property where we randomly tow somebody."
Most people don't have the resources. They don't have the ability to do what he's doing. And I think that's why these companies that do this get away with it.
Kim's attorney Ryan Smith said since the car was towed, it was also sold. Towing companies can sell cars through a court process if the owner hasn't paid to get it back. Smith filed paperwork objecting to the sale, but court records showed the car was sold anyway, and a deputy clerk signed off on it.
To me, that's unethical, wrong, and shocking.
Many of the cars are often sold to the towing company owners or other people connected to the business. WBTV has discovered that David Satterfield's company, Tip Towing, and Overtime Towing all use the same company to file the court paperwork, Auto Title Pros. Court paperwork recently filed showed Auto Title Pros would be holding a public sale for 2 cars on a Monday at the location of Tip Towing. But in a local paper, the sale was advertised as happening Sunday, which violates state law. I showed up anyway and found the business completely closed and no one coming or going at the time of the sale. I spoke with Auto Title Pros owner Martha Green, who sent me this advertisement from the Mecklenburg Times showing a sale date on Monday. But look here. This document was signed on January 30th, after the sale date and after I reached out to the company. I also showed up at David Satterfield's lot at the reported time of his sale.
Hey David, this is David Hodges with WBTV.
But found no one there. Overtime Towing owner Leah Holmes was recently cited by NCDOT for not delivering the title of a vehicle the company towed and sold. Court records show they only started that process to transfer the title after that citation. WBTV recently tracked one of Overtime Towing's trucks as it hooked a work van from the Atkinson Circle Apartments in Ballantyne, where it's towed hundreds of cars. Our research revealed that one of the drivers and wife's husband, Omar Holmes, pleaded guilty to 2 carjackings in the Washington, D.C. area in 2004. That was after he struck a plea deal as a cooperating witness because of his involvement in a series of bank robberies in which the gang used AK-47s that Holmes purchased. In a statement to WBTV, the attorney for Overtime owner Leah Holmes wrote, quote, "At the time of the title issue that is presently being handled, Mrs. Holmes was dealing with the death of her son." Regarding Omar Holmes' carjacking conviction and bank robbery indictment, the attorney wrote, quote, "Mr. Holmes' 20-year-old issues are irrelevant and unconnected to the story. He turned his life around. He deserves praise for this, not persecution."
I'm very concerned.
These are the companies towing Charlotte Tian's cars
I'm not the first person, and I won't be the last person that's going through this type of ordeal.
and holding them hostage.
It's very disheartening to see that a business, a towing business, can get away with what they're getting away with in this case.
Our investigations are continuing, and you can see all the reporting we've already done and the work that we have done, including this entire series, on our website, WBTV.com. And don't forget, you can reach out to us about your own towing situation, story, or tip by emailing us at investigates@WBTV.com. Reporting in Charlotte, David Hodges, WBTV, on your side.